The last thing Pietro De Luca expected after his meeting was canceled was to find a woman sobbing beside two small children in a cold, nearly empty parking garage. But there she was, her hands shaking, her face wet, her kids clinging to her legs as if they were scared of the whole world. Pietro stopped walking. He wasn't a man who usually stopped for strangers. His world was too dangerous, too complicated. But something about the way the woman tried to hide her fear from her children held him where he stood. She lifted her head when she heard footsteps. Her red, swollen eyes met his. "I'm sorry," she whispered, as if she had to apologize for crying. "I'm just trying to think." Pietro glanced around the garage. "What happened?" She swallowed hard. "My car. It was stolen. Right here. And the insurance. It wasn't paid." Her voice cracked as she said the last part. She covered her mouth to hold back a sob. Her son, about 7, stepped in front of her as if he was trying to protect her. Her younger daughter held onto her shirt, eyes wide. Pietro looked at the kids, then back at her. "You called the police?" "Yes, they said they'll look into it, but—" She shook her head. "I know what they're going to say. They'll file a report and that's it." "What's your name?" he asked. Hannah Blake." "And the kids?" "Liam and Chloe." The boy watched Pietro carefully, like he was trying to judge if he was dangerous. Chloe leaned closer to her mother, whispering something Pietro couldn't hear. Hannah tried to stand, but her legs were weak. Pietro reached out instinctively, catching her elbow before she fell. She froze at his touch, surprised, embarrassed, and exhausted. "I'm okay," she mumbled. "You're not," Pietro said. "Where do you live?" It's far, and I don't have money for a ride. I get paid next week and—" She stopped, realizing she was revealing too much to a total stranger. Pietro could walk away. He knew he should. But he couldn't leave her like this. "I'll take you home." She blinked, startled. No, I can't get in a car with someone I don't know. I'm not crazy." "I wasn't asking you to trust me," he said calmly. "Your kids need to go home. It's freezing." He looked at Liam and Chloe again. "Let me help, just this once." Hannah hesitated. She had no options. Her kids were shivering. She exhaled slowly, defeated. "Okay, but only because I can't keep them here any longer." Pietro nodded and unlocked his black SUV. Liam helped Chloe climb inside while Hannah wiped her eyes quickly, trying to pull herself together. When she sat in the passenger seat, she kept her bag on her lap as if it were a shield. Pietro drove smoothly, not speaking at first. He looked at her through the corner of his eye. She was tired in a way that came from months, maybe years, of carrying too much alone. "What happened with the insurance?" he asked. She stiffened. "I lost one of my cleaning jobs last month. I got behind on bills. I paid rent first, then food. Then whatever was left wasn't enough." Liam leaned forward between the seats. "Mom didn't sleep last night. She was working." "Liam," she whispered, embarrassed. "It's all right," Pietro said quietly. She looked out the window, wiping another tear. "I shouldn't be telling you this. I don't know why I'm telling you this." "You've had a long night," he said. "How about you?" she asked suddenly, almost defensively. "Why are you even here?" "My meeting was canceled," Pietro replied. "Wrong day, wrong time, wrong people." She nodded. "That sounds about right for today." He glanced at the kids again. "Do they have school tomorrow?" "Yes, Liam does." "Chloe stays with me at the diner until my shift ends." She shook her head. "I don't know how I'm going to manage now. Without a car, everything falls apart. I'll probably lose both jobs, then the apartment. I can't." Her voice broke again. Pietro tightened his grip on the steering wheel. Something hot rose in his chest. He wasn't used to feeling protective over strangers, but tonight, something was different. When they arrived at her apartment building, a small, run-down complex with flickering lights and peeling paint, Hannah let out a shaky breath. She unbuckled the kids, gathered their backpacks, and stepped onto the sidewalk. "Thank you," she said softly. "I didn't know how I was going to get home." Pietro watched her lead the kids toward the entrance. Liam waved before going in. Chloe gave a small, tired smile. Hannah turned around one last time. I owe you. I don't know how to repay you, but you don't owe me anything, he said. She nodded and hurried inside, holding both children close. For a moment, Pietro stayed in the SUV, staring at the dim building. Something bothered him. The thief took her car quickly, in a busy garage with cameras everywhere. Too clean, too fast. Pietro made a short call. "Logan," he said, his voice shifting into the tone he used only in his world. "Pull the footage from the Jefferson garage. I want every angle." "Someone stole a woman's car right under our eyes." Logan's voice crackled through the speaker. "A random theft?" "No," Pietro said slowly. "Nothing about this felt random." 15 minutes later, Pietro was on his way home when Logan called back. "We found it," Logan said. "The stolen car was spotted on a street cam. You're not going to like where." "Where?" "Near Clarkson Industrial. It was driving straight toward one of Marcus Hale's warehouses." Pietro's jaw tightened. Marcus, of all people. "The woman has 2 kids, Logan," he said. "She's innocent, and Marcus is using her car." "It looks like it." Pietro stared at the road, his pulse steady but cold. Something wasn't right. Marcus Hale never did anything without a purpose. This wasn't about a car. This was a message. Pietro lowered his voice. "Find out why Marcus wanted that car, and find out who gave him access to a garage under our protection." "You think we have a leak?" "I think someone wants me to notice this." The line went silent for a moment. "What do we do about the woman?" Pietro looked at the empty passenger seat where Hannah had sat moments earlier, her hands trembling, her voice breaking as she tried to hold her life together in front of her children. "We keep an eye on her," Pietro said. "Quietly. She doesn't need to know. And if Marcus reaches her first..." Pietro's voice dropped into something dark and final. "He won't." As he hung up, a single thought stayed in his mind, one he wasn't ready to say out loud. Why would a rival steal a poor woman's car, unless she was never the random victim he thought she was? And why, for the first time in years, did he care? Something about Hannah Blake had just pulled him into a story he couldn't step away from. Pietro barely slept. The image of Hannah Blake sitting on the curb with her children haunted him in a way he couldn't explain, and the fact that her stolen car was seen near Marcus Hale's warehouse changed everything. Marcus didn't steal for money. Marcus stole to provoke, to irritate, to create chaos. But dragging a woman like Hannah into it? That was new. Before sunrise, Pietro was already in his office, staring at the parking garage footage on a large screen. Logan stood beside him, pointing at a blurry figure approaching Hannah's old sedan. "That's not a random thief," Logan said. No hesitation. He knew which car to take. Pietro leaned forward. "Enhance the tattoo." Logan zoomed in. The resolution was terrible, but the outline was familiar. 2 intersecting lines forming a jagged symbol. "That's Marcus's crew," Pietro said quietly. Logan crossed his arms. "So he wants your attention. He has it." But Pietro's expression changed when the camera angle showed Hannah approaching her car minutes before it was stolen. She had Chloe in her arms, Liam walking beside her, and even from the low-quality footage, Pietro could see exhaustion in her posture. "She barely has anything," Pietro muttered. "Why steal from her?" Logan shrugged. "Could be coincidence." "No," Pietro said. "Marcus doesn't do coincidence." He turned away from the screen. "Pull everything on her," he ordered. "Name, job, address, bills, whatever is public." Logan blinked. "You want her background?" "Yes, and you keep this quiet. She doesn't know who I am. She doesn't need to." Hours later, Pietro held a thin folder. Hannah Blake had no criminal record, no trouble, no enemies. Just a woman fighting to survive. Her life was a list of overdue bills, 2 jobs, and a small apartment 1 step away from eviction. Something tightened in his chest. "Where does she work?" Pietro asked. Logan glanced at the notes. "Morning shift at Riverside Diner. Night cleaning at Mitchell Towers." Riverside Diner. Pietro almost laughed under his breath. He owned that place, quietly, through a shell corporation. Hannah had no idea. He stood abruptly. "Get the car." Hannah was rushing between tables, trying to focus on work, but her hands trembled each time she thought about the night before. Liam had asked if the bad man would come again. Chloe refused to let go of her arm for the entire morning, and then the doorbell jingled. Hannah froze. Pietro De Luca walked in as if he belonged there. The diner wasn't fancy. It smelled like coffee, overworked fryer oil, and old leather booths. Pietro stood out instantly. Clean, tailored clothes, sharp lines, calm expression. Some customers glanced his way, others lowered their eyes, sensing something they couldn't explain. Hannah swallowed hard and walked to his table. "What are you doing here?" she asked softly. "Getting breakfast," he said, "and checking on you." Her heart flipped in her chest. "You didn't have to do that." "I know." She pulled out her notepad. "What can I get you?" "You sit first," he said. "I can't sit. I'm working." "Hannah," Pietro said, voice low but gentle. "Sit." She hesitated and sat. "You look tired," he said. "I always look tired," she said with a nervous laugh. "You shouldn't." She looked down at her hands. "Thank you for taking us home last night. I didn't know what to do." "You don't have family nearby?" "My brother lives in the city, but he's busy with work. He's complicated." Pietro didn't press. Instead, he opened his wallet and placed a $100 bill on the table. "Use it for groceries," he said. Hannah's eyes widened. "No, I can't take that." "You can, and you will." Her eyes filled again, but she blinked quickly to stop the tears. "I'll bring your coffee," she whispered, standing before she embarrassed herself. Pietro watched her walk away, her shoulders tight. He didn't like seeing her break, not after everything she had endured alone. When he finished eating, he left another 100 under the cup. Hannah ran after him outside. "Pietro," she called. "This is too much." He turned. "It's nothing." "No, it's not," she insisted. "Please, don't do things you don't have to do." He paused. "I don't do anything I don't want to do." She held the money against her chest, confused and grateful all at once. "I don't understand you." "You don't have to," Pietro said. "Just keep your kids safe." He left before she could argue again. But the truth was, he didn't understand himself either. That afternoon, Pietro received another update. Hannah's landlord had been pressuring her over late rent. With one phone call, Pietro made the problem disappear. The landlord suddenly decided she could take her time. Hannah had no idea why he changed his tone, and Pietro didn't want her to. 2 days later, he was in his SUV when he spotted Liam and Chloe walking with Hannah near the sidewalk. Chloe was stumbling with sleepiness. Liam carried a plastic bag of groceries. Pietro lowered the window. "You're walking home?" he asked. Hannah startled. "Oh, Pietro, we just got from the store." "You walked all the way there?" "I don't have a car," she reminded him. Chloe lifted her tiny hand. "Hi." Pietro's lips softened. "Hi, sweetheart." Liam stepped closer to the door. "Do you drive fast?" he asked with curiosity. "Sometimes," Pietro answered. Liam grinned. "Mom says fast drivers are dangerous. Only the ones who don't know what they're doing." The girl giggled. Hannah shook her head, exasperated. "We'll be fine," she said. "It's not far." Pietro didn't like the idea of them walking. The street wasn't safe. Not anymore. Not with Marcus involved. "Get in," he said. Hannah bit her lip. "I don't want to take advantage." "You're not." "But, Hannah," he cut softly. "Let me take you home." She finally nodded. Inside the SUV, the kids behaved as if they were in a spaceship. Chloe pressed buttons on her seatbelt. Liam stared at the dashboard like it belonged in a movie. "You treat them well," Hannah said unexpectedly. "They're good kids. They like you?" Pietro didn't answer. He didn't know what to do with warmth like that. When they reached her building, he noticed a patrol car parked across the street. 2 officers were questioning someone near a corner. Crime had risen in the area. Hannah didn't seem to notice, or maybe she was just used to it. He followed her and the kids with his eyes until they disappeared inside. Logan called at that exact moment. "We found the car," Logan said. "Abandoned under the bridge near Clarkson." "And?" It was used in a drive-by an hour earlier. Pietro exhaled sharply. Marcus used Hannah's car for a hit. Yeah, and now her name is in the police report. Pietro said nothing for several seconds. You think Marcus did this to set you up? Logan asked. No, Pietro said. He's doing it to see how far I'll go for a woman I should have walked away from. Logan hesitated. Boss, she can't handle this world. I know. And bringing her closer is dangerous. I know that too. But Pietro's voice wasn't uncertain. It was something else. Something protective. Maybe even something desperate. That night, Hannah worked a late shift at the diner. The streets were quieter than usual, too quiet. She locked the back door and walked toward the bus stop, hugging her arms. A dark car rolled past her slowly. She froze. A man leaned out from the passenger window, staring at her with a smile that felt wrong. You should stay away from Pietro De Luca, he said, or you'll end up just like your car. Her breath vanished. Before she could respond, the car sped away. Her hands shook violently as she fumbled for her phone. There was only one number she could call. Pietro? She whispered when he answered. Where are you? His voice changed instantly. Sharp, controlled, dangerous. Outside the diner. Someone just said your name. They knew about my car. I'm on my way. Pietro, don't move. Don't talk to anyone. I'll be there in 2 minutes. Her heart pounded so loud she could hear it echoing in her ears. She didn't know what she had been pulled into. But she knew one thing with absolute clarity. Someone wanted to send Pietro a message. And they were using her to do it. She had no idea how deep the danger truly went. Pietro didn't waste a second. The moment Hannah whispered that someone had threatened her, he was already out the door. Logan drove, ignoring every traffic rule between his boss and the Riverside diner. When they arrived, Hannah was standing under the flickering streetlight, hugging her arms, shaking so hard she looked like she could collapse. Pietro stepped out even before the car fully stopped. Hannah. His voice was low but firm. She turned to him, eyes wide. He knew your name, she said in a trembling whisper. He knew about my car. Why would he know that? Pietro placed a hand on her elbow. Get inside the car. I want answers, she insisted, her voice cracking. I don't understand. You will, Pietro said. But not here. She hesitated, torn between fear and the instinct to demand clarity. But when she looked down the street and saw nothing but darkness, she nodded. Liam and Chloe weren't with her tonight. That thought terrified Pietro even more. What if they had been? He led her into the SUV, placing her in the back seat so she would feel enclosed and safe. Logan pulled away from the curb fast. Hannah pressed her back against the seat. I want to know what's happening. Pietro turned slightly toward her. Someone is trying to send me a message. Me? She asked, stunned. Why use me? Because you were vulnerable. Because you were an easy target. She blinked hard. Pietro. Who are you really? Silence filled the car. Pietro had postponed this moment, hoping he could protect her without dragging her into his world. But that wasn't possible anymore. I run a business, he began. What kind of business? Some of it is legitimate. Some of it isn't. Hannah's breath stilled. Are you saying you're involved with criminals? Logan's eyes flicked to the rearview mirror, but Pietro didn't look away from her. I'm saying that there are people who want to destroy everything I built. People who don't care who they hurt to get to me. Hannah shook her head, overwhelmed. I don't belong in anything like this. I know, Pietro said. You shouldn't have been dragged in. But now that you were, I won't let anything happen to you. Her eyes glistened. I'm just a waitress, Pietro. I don't have anything. Why would they target me? Because I helped you, he answered quietly. Because you matter to me more than I expected. She froze at those words. Pietro didn't flinch. He didn't take them back. 20 minutes later, they reached a gated property on the outskirts of the city. Guards opened the entrance without questions. The SUV pulled up to a modern, heavily secured house with tall windows and armed men stationed discreetly around the perimeter. Hannah stared, stunned. Where are we? A safe place, Pietro said. For tonight. I can't stay here, she whispered. My kids. Logan already sent 2 men to your building. Pietro interrupted. Liam and Chloe are safe. They're asleep. Your landlord let them in. She stared at him in disbelief. You talked to my landlord? He works for a company I own. Pietro opened the door for her. Come inside. She didn't move at first. Going inside meant accepting something she wasn't prepared for, but staying outside meant she was a target. She stepped out. The house was warm, bright, and much more luxurious than anything she had ever seen. Hannah walked slowly, afraid she might break something. You can sit, Pietro said gently. She lowered herself onto a large couch, her body tight with stress. Pietro sat across from her, giving her space. Start from the beginning, she said. Tell me everything. Pietro rubbed the back of his neck. He didn't like explaining himself, but she deserved clarity. The man who stole your car works for Marcus Hale, Pietro said. He and we have history. He wants territory that belongs to me. And he stole my car because he knew I would notice, Pietro said. Because he wanted a reaction. Hannah pressed a hand to her forehead. I didn't ask for any of this. I know. Pietro leaned forward. And I'm going to fix it. She looked at him, searching for something in his expression. His eyes were steady, determined. But behind them, she could see an exhaustion he never showed anyone else. I can't expose my kids to this, she whispered. You won't, Pietro said. They will not be touched. She swallowed hard. I don't trust your world. You're not in my world, he answered. You're under my protection. That's the same thing, she whispered. He didn't deny it. Later, after a soft meal prepared by Pietro's staff, Hannah stood by the wide window overlooking the city lights. Pietro joined her quietly. You're not used to silence, he said. My life is never quiet. He watched her reflection in the glass. Your kids? They're everything. Her voice softened. Liam is sensitive. Chloe is sweet. I try so hard to give them a normal life. You do. Pietro paused. You're a good mother. A tear slipped down her cheek. She wiped it quickly. I don't want them scared of anything. Then let me handle this, he said. Her eyes lifted to his. I barely know you. I know. And you're dangerous. Yes. But I don't feel unsafe with you, she admitted quietly. Something shifted in Pietro's expression, something he tried to control. He stepped closer, slow enough for her to look away if she wanted to. She didn't. You're safe here, Hannah, he said. No one will touch you. Their faces were inches apart. His breath brushed her cheek. Her lips parted involuntarily. For a moment, they almost crossed a line neither of them was ready to cross. Then a sharp alarm cut through the silence. Pietro's entire demeanor changed. His posture straightened, his voice hardened. Stay behind me. Hannah froze. Security monitors lit up automatically in the hallway. Pietro moved toward them quickly. Logan appeared a second later. Boss, you need to see this. Pietro scanned the screens. Hannah stepped closer despite his order. What is it? She whispered. Pietro's jaw clenched. Outside the gate, under the bright floodlights, several unmarked cars had pulled up. Men stepped out. 2, then 4, then more. In the front stood a man Pietro recognized. Hannah gasped softly. Ethan, she breathed. That's my brother. Pietro didn't look away from the screen. Hannah's brother was FBI, and he had brought backup. Logan exhaled. They didn't come here for a family visit. Pietro didn't blink. Open the audio. Logan clicked a button. On the speaker, Ethan Blake's voice echoed clearly. Pietro DeLuca, open the gate. We need to talk. Now. Hannah covered her mouth with a trembling hand. The brother who barely returned her calls. The brother who never helped her. The brother who suddenly appeared the moment Pietro protected her. Was standing outside the mafia boss's gate with federal agents behind him. Pietro's eyes narrowed. "Hannah," he said quietly, "you need to tell me exactly why your brother came here." She shook her head, terrified and confused. "I don't know, I swear I don't know." But Pietro wasn't sure he believed her. And for the first time since he met her, he wasn't certain whether Hannah Blake had been dragged into danger, or delivered to him for a reason he still didn't understand. The image of Ethan Blake on the security screen would not leave Hannah's mind. Her brother, standing outside the gate with agents behind him, looked colder than she remembered. Focused, unshakable. "Why is he here with them?" she whispered. "Because he did not come as your brother," Pietro said. "He came as law enforcement." Logan looked from one to the other. "Do you want him turned away?" Hannah's heart pounded. "You can't do that. He'll think you're hiding me." "I am hiding you," Pietro replied, "from people who do not care what happens to you as long as they get what they want." "That includes my brother?" she asked, her voice breaking. Pietro hesitated, then answered honestly. "Right now, yes." She flinched at the words. Pietro stared at the screen for a few more seconds, then gave his decision. "Open the gate," he said. "Let him in, but only him." Logan nodded and spoke into his radio. "Gate 1 open, one visitor only. If anyone else steps forward, close it again." On the monitor, Ethan stepped ahead as the gate slowly parted. The agents behind him stayed near their cars, watching, hands near their weapons. Hannah backed away from the screen, anxiety crawling up her spine. A minute later, Ethan Blake walked into the house, escorted by 2 of Pietro's men. He wore a dark suit, his badge on his belt, his eyes sharp as they took in every detail. The guards, the cameras, the exits. His gaze landed on Hannah. "Hannah," he said, his tone softer for a moment. "Are you okay?" She nodded, but tears pooled in her eyes. "You scared me." "I scared you?" Ethan stared at her. "You're the one standing in a mafia boss's living room." Pietro moved closer, placing himself between them without making it obvious. "Agent Blake," he said calmly. "You wanted to talk." "So talk." Ethan turned to him, every muscle tense. "You know who I am." "I make it my business to know who is following me," Pietro replied. "And yet you still thought it was a good idea to take my sister and her kids into your house?" "She was threatened because of my enemy," Pietro said. "I will not leave her unprotected." Ethan let out a humorless sound. "You mean because of your business?" Hannah stepped forward. "Stop, just stop. I don't care about your power games. I want to know what is happening to me and my children. My car was stolen. My name is in a police report. A stranger threatened me on the street, and the only person who showed up when I called was him." She pointed at Pietro. "Not you." Ethan's jaw clenched. "I didn't know about the car until this morning," he said. "The report flagged your name. That is the only reason my boss even noticed your situation." Hannah's eyes filled. "So I had to be tied to a crime for anyone at your office to care?" Ethan looked away, unable to answer that. Pietro watched quietly, his expression unreadable. He saw the guilt in Ethan's eyes, the anger, the divided loyalty. "Why are you really here?" Pietro asked. Ethan faced him again. "You're under investigation. You know that." "I am always under investigation," Pietro said. "This is not new." "Maybe not," Ethan replied. "But this time we have more than rumors and guesses. We have movement. We have leads. And now we have my sister's name tied to a car used in a shooting connected to your war with Marcus Hale." Hannah swallowed hard. "What does that mean for me?" "It means," Ethan said carefully, "that if we don't move fast, they might try to treat you as part of the case. Like someone who provided a vehicle for criminal activity." "I didn't do anything," Hannah whispered, horrified. "I didn't know. It was my car." "I know," Ethan said quickly. "I know you didn't. But the system doesn't always care about know and didn't know when it wants to push people." Pietro stepped closer. "And what does your boss want from her?" Ethan hesitated. Hannah watched him closely. She knew that look. It was the same expression he had when he was about to ask for something she would not like. "Say it," Pietro pressed. Ethan's eyes moved from Pietro to Hannah. "He wants her to cooperate, to give us information about you, about your routines, your businesses, your contacts. Hannah recoiled as if he had pushed her. You want me to spy on him? She asked. Not spy, Ethan said carefully. Just pay attention. Share things. It could protect you. It could guarantee you're not dragged into this as a suspect. Pietro's gaze darkened. You want to use her. I want to protect her, Ethan shot back. And if she helps us, I can make sure she is left alone. By your office, Pietro said. Not by Marcus. Not by anyone else who wants to hurt me. Ethan didn't answer. Hannah's voice trembled. So I either get close to him and give you pieces of his life, or I risk being blamed for things I didn't do. Ethan looked at her with pain in his eyes. I don't like it either, but right now that's the safest path I can see. Pietro stared at him with open contempt. Your safe path puts her between me and your investigation. If Marcus finds out the FBI is connected to her, she becomes his first target. Hannah lowered her head, overwhelmed. No matter where she turned, she was just a tool to someone. To Marcus, she was bait. To the FBI, she was a possible informant. To Pietro, she did not know what she was yet. Ethan took a step closer to her. Hannah, listen to me. I know I haven't always been there. I know I've been busy, distant, all of it. But I am still your brother. I'm trying to keep you out of prison and out of a morgue. She flinched at the harsh words. Pietro's shoulders stiffened. Hannah will not end up in either, Pietro said. I will handle Marcus. I will handle the fallout from that car. I will handle everything that comes with my name. Ethan's eyes hardened. You can't control the law, DeLuca. Pietro met his stare without fear. I can control what happens to the people under my protection. The room felt tight, heavy. Hannah took a slow breath. What if I say no? She asked Ethan. What if I refuse to help you? He hesitated. Then I can't guarantee anything when the case moves forward. I will do what I can, but my hands will be tied. And if I say yes, she whispered, then I can put in writing that you cooperated, Ethan said, that you contributed, that you were not involved. It would carry weight. Pietro's voice cut through his explanation. You will not pressure her here. Ethan looked at him. I am giving her a way out. No, Pietro said. You are trying to turn her into a weapon against me. Hannah squeezed her eyes shut for a moment. Both of you, stop. She looked at Pietro. Can I talk to him alone? Pietro didn't like it. Every part of him rejected the idea of leaving her alone with law enforcement in his own house. But he saw the pleading in her eyes. He nodded once. You have 10 minutes. He turned to Ethan. And you do not threaten her. Not in my home. Ethan held his gaze. I don't need threats. Pietro walked out with Logan, though he did not go far. He stayed in the hallway listening for any sign of distress. Inside the room, the air shifted. Hannah and Ethan stood facing each other as brother and sister, without the weight of titles. You should have come to me before, she said quietly. Not when my name ended up in your files. I didn't know, Ethan insisted. I swear, I didn't know about your rent, or your hours, or the fact that you were one broken car away from disaster. You never ask, she replied. You work, you disappear. You see the worst in people all day and come home with no energy left for us. He looked away, guilt clear in his face. You're right. I failed you. She softened, even as anger stayed in her chest. Why him? She asked. Why Pietro? Why are you so focused on him? Because he is dangerous, Ethan said. He runs things that hurt people. Drugs, weapons, laundering. People disappear because of men like him. He saved me, she said. He saved my kids. He helped with rent. He brought me here when someone used my life to get to him. None of that came from your office. It came from him. That's how men like him work, Ethan said. They destroy and protect at the same time. It makes people feel special, safe, loyal. She shook her head. Not everything is a strategy. Sometimes a person just sees someone drowning and reaches out a hand. Ethan watched her closely. Do you care about him? She swallowed hard. I don't know, it's too fast, too intense. But I know I feel safer when he's close than I did in that parking garage with no one around. Ethan exhaled slowly. I am not asking you to spy on his feelings. I am asking you to help me stop the part of his life that kills people like you. People like me are already getting hurt without him, she said. I live that reality every day. He rubbed his face as if he were trying to find the right angle. Hannah, if you stay near him, you are going to see things, hear things. You can't unsee them. The FBI will not walk away from this case. It's moving fast. We will press. Marcus will press, everyone will press. In the middle of that, you need a shield. Cooperation is that shield. She stood still, shaken. Ethan reached into his jacket and pulled out a small recording device. He held it out, resting in his palm. This is not a full-time job, he said. You don't have to chase him. Just, if he ever talks openly about Marcus, about the warehouses, about shipments, if he ever admits something he never said in court, this could help you. She stared at the device as if it were a live wire. I can't do that, she whispered. You can, Ethan said gently. You can also choose not to. I'm putting this in your hand because I refuse to say I did nothing when things get worse. She didn't reach for it. He closed her fingers around it himself, folding her hand carefully. You are my sister, he said softly. I will fight for you on both sides. But I need something to fight with. She felt the cold plastic pressing into her palm. Outside the room, Pietro's patience was wearing thin. Logan watched him. You're going to explode if you stay out here much longer, Logan muttered. I'm already exploding, Pietro replied. I just haven't moved yet. Logan gave a hint of a dry smile, but his eyes stayed serious. You trust her? Yes, Pietro said without hesitation. Do you trust her brother? No. Inside, Ethan stepped back. I have to go, he said. My boss is expecting a report. They know I came here. They will want to know if you're safe. Will you tell them where I am? She asked. I'll tell them you're under protection and not cooperating yet. He paused. That word, yet, will buy you time. She nodded weakly. Ethan walked to the door, then looked back one last time. Whatever you do, don't forget who you were before all this. Don't let his world decide that for you. Then he left. When Pietro came back into the room, Hannah was standing exactly where Ethan had left her, her hand closed tightly around the small device, nails digging into her own skin. Pietro noticed. What did he give you? Pietro asked. Hannah opened her fingers slowly and looked down at the recorder as if she had almost forgotten it was there. Her throat tightened. This is the part, she thought, where I either lie to him or tell him the truth. Her voice came out thin. He gave me this. Pietro walked closer, eyes on her face, not the object. Did he ask you to use it on me? She felt like the room was shrinking around them. Her heart beat fast, pushing against her ribs. Hannah knew Pietro was about to say something important, something real about his past, his enemies, maybe even his crimes. She could see it in the way his guard slipped just a little as he stepped closer. He stopped right in front of her. I need to tell you things about who I was before you met me, he said slowly. About what I've done. About what Marcus really wants. You deserve to know what you are standing next to. Hannah stared at the recorder in her hand. All she had to do was press one button. The FBI would get exactly what it wanted. Ethan would have his shield. But Pietro was looking at her like she was the only person in the room who mattered. Like what she did next would decide everything. Her thumb hovered near the small control. Her other hand trembled, and Pietro took a breath, ready to confess something he had never said so openly to anyone outside his inner circle. Pietro waited for an answer that didn't come. Hannah stood frozen, the small recording device still in her hand. Her thumb hovered over the button, her breath shallow. She could feel the weight of Ethan's voice in her mind. This could protect you. And the weight of Pietro's eyes in front of her, steady, open, unguarded in a way she had never seen before. Pietro took one step closer. If you want to use it, he said quietly, do it now, before I say anything." Hannah looked at him, then at the recorder again. Something inside her twisted. Pietro had helped her when she was stranded. He had protected her kids. He had brought her here when she was terrified. She couldn't betray him. Not like that. Very slowly, she closed her hand around the device and placed it on the table. "I won't use it," she whispered. Pietro exhaled, just once, but the sound carried the tension he had been holding in his chest. He reached out, not touching her, but close enough she felt the warmth of his hand. "You don't owe me loyalty," he said. "No," Hannah replied softly, "but I owe you honesty." She didn't realize what those words did to him. Pietro lowered his guard just enough for Hannah to see something raw behind his eyes. "Sit," he said gently. She did. Pietro sat across from her, his posture calm but his voice lower, more personal. "When I was 16, he began. "My father was killed by one of the men Marcus now works with. After that, I took over the pieces of the family business he left behind. Some parts were clean, some were not. I didn't choose the world. I inherited it." Hannah listened, barely breathing. "I tried to separate things," he continued. "I built hotels, restaurants, construction. But every time I moved something away from the streets, Marcus pushed it back in." "And now?" she asked. "Now he wants control," Pietro said. "He wants to prove I'm weak. That I can't protect the territory. That I can't protect the people with my name attached to them." She understood then what had been haunting him since the night they met. "He didn't steal your car for money," Pietro said. "He stole it because he knew I would notice. Because you were the last person I helped before the theft." Hannah's throat tightened. "So I'm a target because you were kind to me." "You are a target," Pietro said slowly, "because he thinks hurting you will hurt me." Hannah felt her stomach drop. She wiped a tear quickly, refusing to let fear take over. Pietro leaned forward. "Marcus crossed a line, and now he won't stop until I make him." "Then let me leave," Hannah whispered. "Take the kids and go far away." "You think going alone will keep you safe?" Pietro asked. "Marcus already knows your name. He knows your face. He used your car in a shooting. He will find you wherever you go." Her breath stilled. "I won't let that happen," Pietro said firmly. "I will not let him touch you or the children." His voice shook, not with fear, but with something deeper. She felt it, and for a moment, silence filled the room. Slowly, carefully, Pietro reached for her hand. She let him take it. The contact was warm, steady, grounding. Hannah didn't pull away. "You're not alone anymore," Pietro said. "Not while I'm breathing." Her lips parted, her heart racing for reasons that had nothing to do with danger. She looked at him, really looked at him, and felt her chest tighten with an emotion she wasn't ready to name. He stood then, pulling her gently to her feet. They were close enough she could feel his breath. "Pietro," she whispered. He didn't kiss her, but the moment was so charged she felt her knees weaken. Then, a loud vibration shook Pietro's phone. He stepped back, answering quickly. "Yes?" His tone sharpened instantly. "When?" Hannah's heart dropped at the shift. "What happened?" she asked. Pietro held up a hand, listening. Logan's voice came through the line. "We traced the car thief," Logan said. "He was seen near Pierford Elementary this morning." Hannah gasped. "That's Liam's school." Pietro was already moving. "Send every man we have to that area," Pietro ordered. "Now." Hannah felt cold panic spreading up her spine. "Pietro, Liam is in aftercare," she said. "Chloe is with a neighbor until I finish my shift." Pietro grabbed his keys. "We're leaving." Logan burst through the door. "Boss, wait, we have movement." "What kind of movement?" Pietro snapped. "One of our guys just reported a black SUV parked near the neighbor's building. No plates, tinted windows, same description as Marcus's crew." Hannah felt the world tilt beneath her feet. "No," she whispered. "No, no, no, my kids, my babies." Pietro grabbed her shoulders. "We will get them. I swear to you." She nodded through tears, shaking uncontrollably. Logan was already rushing ahead. Pietro guided Hannah outside, shielding her with his body. Guards swarmed around them, forming a protective wall. The SUV screeched out of the driveway. Pietro held her hand the whole time as she cried silently, staring out the window, praying the kids were safe. "Logan," Pietro barked, "updates." "The black SUV disappeared from the camera feeds 5 minutes ago," Logan said. "We're checking traffic cams, but..." "But what?" Pietro demanded. Logan hesitated. "Chloe is safe," he finally said. "Our men reached the neighbor. Chloe was sleeping on the couch." Hannah covered her mouth, sobbing with relief. "And Liam?" Pietro asked. Silence. "Logan," Pietro growled, "where is Liam?" Logan looked back through the mirror, his jaw tense. "The aftercare teacher said a man came early," Logan said slowly. "Said he was Liam's uncle. Showed the office Liam's name. They let him go." Hannah screamed. "No! Liam doesn't have an uncle. Pietro, please, my son, my son." Pietro pulled her into him, steadying her shaking body. His throat worked, his voice low but unbreakable. "We will find him," he said. "I will bring him back." Hannah clutched his shirt, sobbing uncontrollably. Pietro held her until she could breathe again. Logan took a deep breath. "Boss, we just got a message." "What message?" Pietro snapped. Logan handed him a phone. A video had been sent to an anonymous number. Pietro pressed play. The screen showed a dim warehouse, a single chair, and Liam, small, terrified, tied at the wrists. A man's voice echoed from behind the camera. "24 hours, DeLuca. Give me what belongs to me, or the kid pays." Hannah collapsed against Pietro, screaming Liam's name. Pietro wrapped his arms around her as something inside him broke completely. Marcus hadn't just provoked him, he had declared war, and now Pietro had 24 hours to save the boy he had already started to love like his own. And Marcus Hale had no idea what kind of man he had just pushed into the dark. Hannah couldn't hear anything except the echo of her son's terrified voice on the video. Her mind shut down, her knees buckled, and she would have collapsed if Pietro hadn't caught her instantly. "Breathe," he whispered, holding her tightly. "Hannah, look at me. Breathe." "I can't," she sobbed. "Liam, Pietro, he's so scared." "My baby. He's alive," Pietro said firmly. "Listen to me. He is alive, and I am going to bring him back." His voice cut through the fog of panic, strong and steady, the one solid thing she could hold on to. Hannah closed her eyes, clinging to him like she was drowning. Logan stepped forward, urgency tense in his posture. "Boss, Marcus sent coordinates. We traced the signal to a burner phone, but it routed through 4 towers. We'll need time." "We don't have time," Pietro snapped. Hannah pulled back just enough to look at him, her eyes red and terrified. He said 24 hours. What happens after that? Pietro didn't sugarcoat it. He wants leverage. "He will keep Liam alive as long as he thinks he can use him." "But he could..." Her voice cracked. "No," Pietro said. "I will not let him." Hannah nodded, trying to breathe, holding on to Pietro's arm like it was the only thing keeping her standing. "Logan," Pietro ordered, "get every man we have searching. Every warehouse, every abandoned building Marcus ever used. I want drones in the air, cameras pulled. I want street-level contacts checking every corner." Logan nodded and rushed out. Pietro turned to Hannah again. "You're coming with me." "Where?" she whispered. "To get help," Pietro said. "The kind of help I should have avoided. But he took a child. He crossed a line even the law will care about." 10 minutes later they arrived at the federal building. Hannah froze when she saw where Pietro was taking her. "The FBI? Pietro?" "You want your son back," he said. "So do I. And right now this is the fastest way." She knew he was right, but fear gripped her. "What if they arrest you?" she whispered. "If that's the price to save Liam," Pietro said without hesitation, "I'll pay it." She felt a sharp pain in her chest at the conviction in his voice. Inside, agents swarmed the lobby. Pietro didn't hide, didn't lower his head, didn't pretend to be someone else. He walked straight to the front desk with Hannah beside him. The receptionist looked at him like she couldn't believe what she was seeing. I need to see Agent Blake, Pietro said. She didn't move. You're Pietro De Luca. I'm aware, he replied. Call him. The agents nearby stiffened, hands drifting toward their holsters. Hannah stepped slightly in front of Pietro, panic rising. Please, she told them. My son was kidnapped. We need Ethan. That was enough. The receptionist called security. Seconds later, Ethan Blake appeared with 2 senior agents behind him. His eyes widened when he saw Pietro, and then he saw Hannah's tear-stained face. Hannah, he said, rushing forward. What happened? Marcus took Liam, she choked out. He took him. He sent a video. He tied him up. Ethan, please. Ethan's face changed instantly. Whatever he thought of Pietro vanished behind his instinct as a brother and an agent. Come with me, he said quickly. They were escorted into a conference room. Screens flickered on the walls. Agents moved with urgency. Pietro handed the phone to Ethan, showing him the video. Ethan watched, jaw tightening until the muscle twitched. We're putting out an Amber Alert, he said. I'll get a task force mobilized. Pietro stepped forward. The warehouse in the video, look at the rafters, the concrete, the lighting. Marcus used a place like that years ago before I shut it down. It's one of his old spots. Ethan frowned. You know the location? I know possibilities, Pietro said. Give me your map. Ethan motioned to an agent, who pulled up a digital map of the city and surrounding industrial areas. Pietro pointed to several zones. These are the places Marcus used to store shipments. These buildings match the same construction style. Ethan nodded. We'll send teams to each. No, Pietro said. He'll see them. He has lookouts everywhere. If he thinks the FBI is coming, he'll move the boy. And if you go alone, Ethan shot back. He'll kill you both. Pietro didn't flinch. Then we work together. Ethan stared at him. The room went quiet. Finally, Ethan spoke. Fine, but we do this by the book. No, Pietro said. We do this fast. Your book is too slow. Ethan didn't like that, but he didn't argue. Instead, he turned to his team. Get satellite scans, traffic cams, all footage from the last 40 minutes. Pietro leaned over the table. Marcus always leaves a backup route. He's arrogant. He thinks planning means winning. Look for large trucks leaving the zone after the kidnapping. Ethan signaled to the tech team. Screens filled with footage from various streets. There, Pietro pointed suddenly. Freeze the frame. A large white truck appeared, turning into an industrial road with no public reason to be there. Zoom, Ethan ordered. The truck had a small symbol near the back, an old warehouse insignia from one of Marcus's past fronts. That's it, Pietro said. He's there. Ethan looked at the clock. We move now. He turned to Hannah. You're staying here. No, she said instantly. I'm coming. Absolutely not, Ethan argued. This is dangerous. She's coming, Pietro said. She's not staying alone. Ethan glared at him. This isn't your call. Pietro stepped closer. She is safer with me than in a building full of people Marcus might have bribed. Ethan opened his mouth, but then he shut it, because he knew Pietro wasn't wrong. Fine, Ethan said, but she stays in the truck. No going inside. Agreed, Pietro said. Hannah didn't trust her voice, so she simply nodded. The convoy left within minutes, FBI trucks, tactical teams, Pietro's men following in black SUVs. Hannah sat between Pietro and Ethan in the lead vehicle, her hands shaking uncontrollably. Talk to me, Pietro said softly. Tell me about Liam. She swallowed. He likes dinosaurs and pancakes, and he sleeps with a flashlight because he's afraid of the dark. Pietro's eyes softened. He won't be in the dark much longer, I promise you. Ethan listened quietly, guilt in every line of his face. As they approached the warehouse, the tactical commander came on the radio. We're seeing heat signatures inside, about 7 men, and one smaller figure tied to a chair. Hannah's breath caught. Liam, she whispered. Pietro squeezed her hand once. We're going in. The commander continued. We breach in 30 seconds. No firearms discharged unless necessary. Primary objective is the child. No, Pietro said. Primary objective is getting him out alive, whatever it takes. The commander didn't argue. Not tonight. Ethan turned to Hannah. Do not leave this truck. She nodded, tears falling silently. The doors opened. Darkness, rain beginning to fall. Armed agents fanning out. Pietro and Ethan moving side by side, both with grim determination. Two men who hated each other but loved the same family now. At the loading dock, agents set charges. Breach, someone ordered. The explosion shook the air. Hannah covered her ears, tears streaming, her heart ripping apart with every second. Inside, chaos erupted, shouting, running, gunshots. Hannah felt like she would collapse. Then, a voice came through the radio. "We have the boy! Repeat, we have the boy!" Her whole body trembled. She pressed her hand to her mouth. "Is he hurt?" she cried. "Is he okay? Is he—" Static. Then, "Minor injuries. He's conscious." Hannah sobbed with relief. But before she could breathe properly, another voice shouted, "Pietro is down! Pietro is hit!" She froze. "No," she whispered. "No, no, no!" She pushed the truck door open, ignoring Ethan yelling behind her. She ran into the rain as agents rushed past her. A few feet away, Pietro was on the ground, blood spreading across his shoulder. He was still conscious, trying to push an agent away who was attempting to help him. "I'm fine," Pietro growled. "You're bleeding," the agent replied. "I said I'm fine." Hannah dropped beside him, her hands trembling as she touched his face. "Pietro, look at me," she pleaded. "Please, look at me." His anger faded instantly when he saw her. His features softened. "Is he safe?" Pietro asked, voice strained. "Yes," she said, tears falling. "Liam is safe." Pietro exhaled, relief washing over him so visibly it broke her heart. Ethan ran over, soaking wet. "We got Marcus," he said. "He surrendered when he saw your men closing in." Pietro nodded once, his jaw tight with pain. Hannah held his hand. "Stay with me," she whispered. He squeezed her fingers weakly. "Hannah, listen," he said. "There's something you need to know." She leaned closer, but Pietro's men were already pushing in, and so were federal agents. Before Pietro could finish his sentence, two agents lifted him carefully. "I'm fine," he snarled. "You're wounded," Ethan said. "You're also under arrest." Hannah gasped. "No, Ethan, please, he just saved my son." "He also has charges we can't ignore," Ethan said quietly. "But this changes things. He gave us Marcus and Logan, and a lot more. He made a deal, your deal, Hannah." "What deal?" she whispered. Pietro tried to stand straighter as agents held him. He looked at her once more, eyes steady despite the pain. "A deal that keeps you and your kids safe," Pietro said. "A deal that pulls me out of the world that hurt you." "Pietro, they're taking me in," he said, "but I'll come back." Hannah reached for him, her fingers brushing his arm before the agents pulled him away. "Don't go," she pleaded. He didn't look away from her. "I told you," he said, voice low and sure. "I will never leave you, not for real." He was shoved into an armored vehicle. The door slammed. Hannah stood in the rain, soaked, trembling, her heart breaking in ways she didn't know were possible. Her son was safe, but Pietro was gone, for now. And Hannah had no idea what his deal with the FBI truly meant, or what kind of future waited for them once Pietro De Luca was released back into the world, if he ever was. 16 months later, the sound of plates and quiet chatter filled the small restaurant Hannah now managed. It was not large, not luxurious, but it was hers in a way nothing had ever been. A warm place on a corner downtown, with clean tables, a busy kitchen, and regular customers who knew her name and her story. The sign on the door read, "Blake's Corner." She wiped her hands on her apron and checked the time for the third time in 10 minutes. He was supposed to call. "Mom," Liam said from a booth near the window, working on homework. "You're looking at the door again." She blinked and smiled. "I'm checking the tables." "You checked them 5 times, Chloe added, coloring on a kid's menu. "You're nervous." Hannah sighed. "I'm not nervous." "Are you waiting for Pietro?" Chloe asked. Hannah froze. then laughed under her breath. You two know too much. Liam closed his notebook. He was older now, taller, his eyes a little more serious. Is today the day? He had a hearing this morning, Hannah said. Sometimes these things are delayed. You say that every time, Liam said softly. He wasn't wrong. Pietro's case had dragged for months. The plea deal Ethan fought for was complicated. Pietro had given names, routes, accounts. He had signed away properties and businesses. He had testified behind closed doors about Marcus's network and several other players. In exchange, prosecutors agreed to reduce what could have been decades into a much shorter sentence with strict conditions: cooperation, supervision, restricted movement, no contact with known criminals. But the system moved slowly. Hannah had visited him as often as she was allowed. Their talks were short, controlled, watched. They spoke about the kids, about the restaurant he helped her set up through funds he was allowed to redirect, about small steps toward normal life. He never asked her to wait. She chose to. The restaurant door opened. Hannah's heart jumped before she could stop it. It was Ethan. He walked in wearing a suit, his badge hidden but his posture still official. He gave a brief smile to Liam and Chloe, then met Hannah's eyes. Her stomach clenched. She walked toward him, wiping suddenly sweaty hands on her apron. Well? She asked. Ethan studied her face for a moment. They signed off, he said. The judge approved the agreement. Time served, plus supervised release, plus community work. He's out. The world seemed to pause for one beat. Hannah's breath left her body. He's out today? She asked. Ethan nodded. Right now. They released him an hour ago. Why didn't he call? She whispered. Because they brought him to my office first, Ethan said. They wanted a formal briefing. Conditions. Warnings. Liam and Chloe had come closer, listening with open faces. Is he coming here? Liam asked. Ethan looked at him, then at Hannah. That depends on you, he said. There are rules. He cannot go anywhere near his old associates. But he is allowed to build a lawful life. He listed this restaurant as a place he might work or visit with supervision. He listed it? Hannah repeated, her throat tightening. Ethan nodded. He told them this place matters to him, that you matter. Her eyes filled. Ethan shifted awkwardly. There's something else, he added. You should know this before you see him. Hannah braced herself. During the final negotiation, Ethan said, they wanted more. They wanted him to set you up. They asked questions about the recording device, about whether you had ever used it. They wanted to pull you into the case. Hannah swallowed. What did he say? He said if they tried to touch you or the kids, he would pull the entire deal and take his chances at trial. Ethan replied. He said you were off limits, non-negotiable. She grabbed the back of a chair, feeling unsteady. He risked years of his life for that line. Ethan said quietly, so, whatever you decide about him now, do it knowing that part too. Tears slowly slid down her face. Chloe tugged at Ethan's sleeve. Uncle Ethan, can we see him? Ethan's hard edges softened. Yeah, kiddo, you can. He looked back at Hannah. He's walking here, Ethan said. He wanted to come alone without a car, without guards. I followed to make sure it was allowed. Hannah's heart raced. How far? She whispered. Ethan glanced at the window. Half a block. Her eyes flew to the glass. She saw him. Pietro De Luca walked down the sidewalk in simple clothes, a plain shirt, dark jacket, no expensive watch, no ring, no visible sign of power. He looked thinner, a little older, but his posture was still straight. There was no entourage, no car idling at the curb, no men watching corners, just him. Hannah's chest tightened. Every memory they shared rushed back. The parking garage, his house, the night he held her while she cried over Liam, the warehouse, the sound of his voice promising he would never leave them in truth. She walked to the door before she realized she had moved. When she stepped outside, the cool air hit her face. The street noise faded beneath the pounding of her heart. Pietro stopped a few steps away. For a moment, they just looked at each other. His eyes traced her face, the small lines of worry that had deepened, the strength that had grown. Her gaze moved over him, taking in the change. The sharp, dangerous aura he once carried was softer now, quieter, but there was still iron in his spine. "Hannah," he said. Her throat felt tight. "You really came." "I told you I would," he said. "It just took longer than I wanted." She laughed, a broken little sound. Tears spilled over. "You're different," she said. "I'm still me," he answered. "But I'm done with that world." Her eyes searched his. "For how long?" "For the rest of my life," he said without hesitation. She believed him. He took a cautious step closer. "Are you okay?" he asked. "The kids? The restaurant?" "We're good," she said. "Better than before. This place, it works." He nodded once, pride flickering in his eyes. "You did that." "We did," she said softly. He froze at the word. She reached out, fingers brushing his wrist. "I didn't stop waiting," she admitted. "Even when it hurt. Even when I was afraid you'd change your mind." Pietro shook his head slowly. "I thought you would." "Why?" she asked. "Because men like me don't usually get second chances," he said. "Not with women like you, not with families." She took another step, closing the distance between them. "I'm not interested in what men like you usually get," she said. "I'm interested in what you're willing to do now." He swallowed. "I'm willing to start over," he said. "With nothing but paperwork, a tight schedule, a parole officer who hates me, and a restaurant that probably needs a new dishwasher." She laughed, wiping tears with the back of her hand. "We do need one." He gave a faint smile. "Good, because that is something they will let me be." Her expression softened in a way that made his chest ache. "You don't have to start at the bottom," she said. "I do," he answered. "I need to know I can be useful without fear behind me. I need your kids to see me work for something honest." She nodded, voice shaking. "They already respect you." "They should respect you," he said. "I'll earn mine." The door opened behind them. "Pietro!" Chloe's small voice rang out. She ran straight to him, feet hitting the floor with quick steps. Liam followed, more controlled but unable to hide his smile. Pietro opened his arms without thinking. Chloe crashed into his chest. He hugged her, eyes closing briefly, emotion pushing hard against his control. "You got bigger," he said. "You got skinnier," she replied, frowning. He huffed a quiet laugh. "I'll fix that." Liam stepped closer, hesitant. "Hey," Pietro said gently. "Hey," Liam replied. "You kept your promise." "I told you I would come back," Pietro said. "I never lied to you." Liam nodded slowly and stepped into him, hugging him with sudden force. Pietro's arms wrapped around the boy, his jaw tightening. For a moment, the four of them stood there on the sidewalk, Hannah, Pietro, Liam, and Chloe, held together by something that had started on a cold night in a parking garage and survived everything that came after. Ethan watched from inside, exhaling quietly. Then he turned away to give them privacy. Later that evening, after the dinner rush, the restaurant quieted. The kid sat in a corner booth, eating dessert. Pietro wiped down tables with a cloth, his movements precise and unhurried. Hannah leaned against the counter, watching him. "You know you don't have to do every little thing," she said. "I want to," he answered. "It helps." "Helps what?" she asked. He paused. "It reminds me that I'm part of this now, not just visiting your life, working in it." Her chest warmed. "You're not my bodyguard anymore," she said. "You're a civilian." He smirked slightly. "Feels strange." "You'll get used to it," she replied. He set the cloth down and walked over to her, stopping on the other side of the counter. "There's one thing I haven't said clearly," he said. "Not like this." She tilted her head. "What?" He met her gaze, steady and vulnerable at the same time. "I love you, Hannah," he said. Her breath caught. He didn't look away. "I tried to keep my distance when I realized what this was," he went on. "I told myself you deserved something simple, someone clean. Someone who didn't drag police files into your life." But when Marcus took Liam, when I saw you fall apart and still stand up again, I knew I would fight anything to keep you breathing." She stared at him, tears forming. "You gave up everything you had," she whispered. "Your money, your power, your network. It wasn't really mine," he said. "It belonged to violence. This," he gestured to the restaurant, to the kids, to her, "is the only thing that ever felt real." She reached out, taking his hand across the counter. "I love you too," she said, voice breaking. "I tried not to. I tried to tell myself it was just gratitude or fear or something else. But you fit into our lives in a way that never felt wrong, even when the world around you was." He stepped around the counter, closing the last bit of space between them. "Are you sure?" he asked. "I come with conditions, meetings with agents, random check-ins, limited travel, no fancy life. No secrets, but a lot of paperwork." She laughed through tears. "I've dealt with overdue bills, broken cars, double shifts, and single motherhood. I think I can handle a few forms and a stubborn ex-mafia boss who wipes tables like they're enemies." He smiled, more open than she had ever seen. He cupped her face gently, giving her time to pull back. She didn't. Their lips met. The kiss was not rushed or desperate. It was steady, deliberate, the kind of kiss that said they were done surviving and ready to actually live. When they broke apart, he rested his forehead against hers for a moment, breathing her in. "Marry me," he said softly. Her eyes widened. "Pietro." "I don't mean now," he corrected. "Not this week, not next month. I know we have to move slowly. I know I need to prove every day that I'm not going back to who I was. But when I've done that for long enough and you still want me here, marry me." Her eyes filled completely. "Are you asking or planning?" she asked. "Both," he said. She laughed, shoulders shaking. "Ask," she said. He straightened, looked her directly in the eyes, and spoke clearly. "Hannah Blake," he said, "will you marry me when the time is right, when the kids are ready, and when you have seen enough proof that I am the man you need me to be?" She smiled through tears. "Yes," she said. "Yes, I will." He closed his eyes briefly, relief flooding his features. Chloe's voice cut through the moment. "Are you getting married?" she called from the booth. "Because if you are, I want a new dress." Liam added, "And I want to choose the cake." Hannah laughed, wiping her face. "We're planning," she said. "Nothing big yet." Pietro looked at the kids. "You two get a say in everything. Dress, cake, music, where we go afterward. This isn't just about us. It's about all four of us." Liam grinned. Chloe clapped her hands. "Can we live in a house?" she asked. "With a yard?" Hannah glanced at Pietro, half amused, half uncertain. He nodded slowly. "We'll find one. Not a mansion. Not something guarded. Just a house with a yard and a door that locks and no one watching through cameras." Hannah exhaled, her shoulders relaxing in a way they hadn't in years. That night, when they closed the restaurant, Pietro walked them home. No guards followed, no rival cars lurked nearby. The danger that once circled them had receded into court files and locked cells. The apartment building was not as run down as the old one. The hallways were clean. The neighbors greeted them by name. Inside, the kids ran to change into pajamas. Pietro stood in the living room, taking in the small details. Drawings on the fridge, a school project on the table, a photo of the four of them printed from a visit day where they all smiled despite the setting. "I like it here," he said. "It's small," she replied. "It's real," he answered. She stepped closer. "Are you scared?" she asked quietly. "Yes," he said. "Every day, of failing you, of making one wrong move and losing you to a file or a mistake, of someone dragging me into something I don't want anymore." She nodded. "I'm scared too. Of trusting too much. Of getting used to peace and having it taken again." He took her hand. "Then we can be scared together," he said, "and keep choosing this anyway." She smiled. Liam peeked out of his room. "Pietro?" "Yes? Can you say goodnight?" Pietro's chest tightened. "Of course," he said. He walked into the kids' room. Chloe was already in bed, hugging a stuffed animal. Liam was under his blanket, the flashlight on his nightstand now more habit than need. "Good night, troublemakers," Pietro said. "Good night," they replied. He leaned down and kissed each forehead, simple and natural, the way a father would. When he turned to leave, Liam spoke again. "Hey, Pietro." "Yes? Are you staying?" Pietro looked at Hannah standing in the doorway, then back at the boy. "If your mom wants me to," he said, "I'm not going anywhere." Liam nodded, satisfied. Chloe smiled sleepily. "Then we're good," she whispered. Pietro stepped out and pulled the door mostly closed, leaving a sliver of light. Hannah wrapped her arms around his waist from behind, resting her cheek against his back. "Welcome home," she said. He covered her hands with his. For the first time in years, Pietro De Luca was not watching over a territory, an empire, or a warehouse. He was watching over something far more fragile and far more important: a small apartment, 2 sleeping children, and the woman who had turned his punishment into a second chance. And he knew one thing with a certainty that left no room for doubt. The most powerful thing he would ever hold was not fear or influence or control. It was the quiet, stubborn, everyday choice to stay, to change, and to love them the way they deserved. And that was a life he was never going to walk away from. If you enjoy stories like this, take a moment to subscribe to the channel. That's how I'll know you truly liked it. Even if you're watching on your TV, grab a second to join this family of fans who love emotional and heartfelt stories. Your support means everything, and it helps us bring you even more tales like this one.